Look, also those calls for Andrew to really talk to police, reveal everything he knows, calls for that are getting certainly louder. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown says that the police must interview him, and although Andrew denies any wrongdoing, I mean, can he really keep ignoring these calls to cooperate properly with police investigations and testify in the US Congress about what he knew?
No, absolutely. He must go ahead and give whatever information he's done. We had Hillary Clinton doing an interview very recently saying that those who knew about things should absolutely testify. The Clintons themselves, they've been mentioned several times in the Epstein files and what's been released. Everybody, obviously, the fact that you've been mentioned doesn't mean that you're necessarily guilty, but sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I always say, look, trust comes in on foot and leaves on horseback, and trust in everybody involved in this sort of stuff is at an all-time low. The way you restore that trust is being as cooperative as possible, tell everybody what you knew, and they can try and work out appropriately. But there's reports about airplanes coming into very close to London and so on and so forth for Epstein. What did Prince Andrew know about that real relationship? Talking about those secrets which have been disclosed and so on and so forth. He should go and testify and provide that sort of side. And he should be encouraged to do so by other members of the royal family. And I think indeed the king is suggesting that he should try and cooperate as much as possible.
Well, there are questions around whether the monarchy will be able to survive this. And Andrew has certainly brought the royals to a tipping point. There are reports that the House of Windsor could fall apart, Andrew.
Well, it is, I would say, one of the biggest existential threats. I highlighted some of the several scandals that there have been just in the last 90 years. This is probably one of the biggest to rock the royals. And it needs to be having a look at how are they dealing with it? Because you will know that royals don't travel by themselves. It's not possible to sort of go away without other people knowing where you're going to be, who you're going to be meeting, and so on and so forth. And one of the scandals that we had is obviously the relationship and access, if you like, to Buckingham Palace. And we remember that Jeffrey Epstein was offered where would you like to have dinner? And he sort of put BP, which everybody understood quite clearly to mean Buckingham Palace. And it had a look on that sort of basis. But the more of these revelations, and they're all being drip-fed, as indeed I predicted on this very show, they're all being drip-fed into the media. Every single time things are getting tainted, and the more they get revealed and the more they're not dealt with, the more it's going to scar the royal family forever.
Well, it's been revealed that Prince William wanted Andrew banished quite a while ago, and he was fighting with his father about it. The Mirror's royal editor, Russell Myers, has written a joint biography of the Prince and Princess of Wales titled William and Catherine, The Intimate Inside Story, which draws on exclusive access to palace insiders. So the reports are that William really saw Andrew as someone that needed to be banished quite a while ago, and also as someone who was a stain on the royal family, Andrew.
Yeah, stain on the royal family is exactly the position. And again, as I pointed out on this show, he was very, very harsh in terms of how he wanted Andrew to be dealt with. Harsh but fair, if you on that sort of basis, because it was quite right. He realised that the general public would make that association. And we saw at the Duchess of Kent's funeral how uncomfortable William looked around his uncle. Those relations have been strained for a very, very long time. William has been brutal, is the word I used previously, about trying to exclude Andrew, but with good cause, because it is a stain on the monarchy. And by association, the more that Andrew's trumpeted out at these sort of events, the better for that sort of scandal to continue to stick. You don't want that scandal to stick, and therefore distance is the best way to address with that. But certainly I think William was the driving force about not having him at Christmas events. He would have had conflicts, if you like, previously with his father about it. He wanted to go further than his father wanted as a result. But now that Andrew's been stripped of his titles, you can guarantee that it's almost unlikely that they're going to be seen at events together. And certainly William, where they are forced into particular events, will want to keep his distance as far as possible.
Well, it's not just Andrew that has had some very serious allegations made against him. Fergie's relationship with Epstein is certainly being scrutinised. What's the latest on the allegations around Fergie?
Well, all the time, and we used to feel a bit sorry for Fergie because we thought she was embroiled and brought under the sort of shadow, if you like, of her husband or former husband. What's now emerged is that she's not only borrowed lots of money that she needs to do, but she also at one stage tried to retract from saying criticizing Epstein in public. She said that she was received a threatening phone call, which is why she sort of turned around and was deeply apologetic to Jeffrey Epstein because she was worried that she might be sued for defamation. She also sort of turned around and apparently asked him to marry her on that sort of basis, and even asked the possibility of getting a job with him. She called herself a house assistant, and that's apparently, according to the Mail on Sunday. They wanted to avoid using the term housekeeper or just a special word for someone who employs a legion of staff. What happened is exactly that. Fergie, there are more and more revelations about what was said, what emails went where, and so on and so forth. And that's the sort of thing. The final first request for employment was back in 2010 when apparently Epstein was under house arrest in Florida following his conviction for procuring a child for prostitution. And that's the important point, Gabriella. It's the timing of all of these things. This is after the convictions. Yeah. This is all sort of denying that there's ongoing discussions. And as I say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. We're going to have all of those emails being revealed. So it's better that you deal with those and deal with those head on, but embroiled and tarnished as a result of the ongoing scandal.
Just finally, we mentioned Megxit as a pretty big scandal that the royal family has had to face. It's been revealed that Princess Catherine, she was always a voice of reason when it came to William and Harry's relationship, when that started to fracture, started to fall apart. But there became this turning point where she realised that she could no longer bring them together. She realised there was no turning back and that Megxit was inevitable. These revelations also being detailed in Russell Meyer's book. What are those details around this turning point when Princess Catherine realised there was no turning back?
Yes, and I think that's the thing, is the difference between the two brides, if you like, William and Catherine, which became this wonderful romance, and she got security as soon as they got involved. Harry was always concerned about the security for him and also when he started dating Meghan, and there was a conflict there because they didn't get the same level of security. You also had the different attitudes, if you like. The Catherine was always seen as this wonderful rose and still is adored by the public. And Meghan, they sort of had that love-hate relationship, which has gone more to the latter now that she's in America. But apparently what happened, she hugged William when she first saw him. This is what happened and made them feel a bit uncomfortable. Catherine described Meghan as friendly, or being erring on the side of somewhat over-friendly, is what she said. And she used the phrase, the damning 3 words, a touch of California about her, which she didn't necessarily mean in a sort of confidential way. It was a very different shake-up, if you like, for the royal family. And you'll recall in that Oprah interview about demonstrating how she curtsied to the Queen and how cringeworthy Harry felt, or certainly gave the impression on that sort of basis. But it's a sort of strained relationship, and that's the issue. And it's really quite sad because the brothers, they grew up in very tragic circumstances, lost their mother when they were both very young, and supported each other through that. And it's sad to see that they've drifted apart in this way. I, for one, really hope there will be some sort of resolution, if only for the king in what is obviously a very difficult time for him with his own cancer diagnosis and so on and so forth.
Well, I know if there is, you'll be bringing us all the details as it happens. Andrew Eborn, UK barrister and broadcaster, thank you so much for your time.
It's an absolute pleasure as always. See you next time.